Welcome, everyone, to our new podcast. In this episode, we are digging into the latest developments on the logistics sector. My name is Maria Angel. I'm sales coordinator at Skoll, and we have a special guest. Her name is
Nina.
Nina.
She's
She's
from
from
ECU
ECU
Trucking.
Trucking.
She's
She's
an
an
account
account
executive.
executive.
So,
So,
Nina,
Nina,
please
please
be
be
welcome.
welcome.
Thank you very much, Maria. I'm very excited to be here today and to go over all those exciting topics that we have for today. Nina,
Nina,
the
the
pleasure
pleasure
is
is
ours
ours
to
to
have
have
you
you
here.
here.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
your
your
time.
time.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
joining.
joining. Let's
Let's talk
talk
a
a
little
little
bit
bit
about
about
the
the
companies
companies
that
that
are
are
making
making
this
this
episode
episode
possible.
possible.
So, I'm
I'm
talking
talking
about
about
Skoll
Skoll
right
right
now.
now.
We
We
are
are
risk
risk
manager
manager
partners.
partners.
We
We
manage
manage
our
our
risk
risk
through
through
international
international
cargo
cargo
insurance.
insurance.
We
We
have
have
three
three
different
different
lane
lane
of
of
business.
business.
We
We
have
have
cargo
cargo
insurance,
insurance,
we
we
have
have
trucking
trucking
insurance,
insurance,
and
and
then
then
all
all
professional
professional
liabilities.
liabilities.
Talking
Talking
about
about
warehouse,
warehouse,
general
general
liabilities,
liabilities,
and
and
stuff.
stuff.
We
We
provide
provide
custom
custom
consultation
consultation
to
to
our
our
customers,
customers,
and
and
we
we
make
make
our
our
partners
partners
take
take
good
good
decisions
decisions
regarding
regarding
protections.
protections.
We
We
have
have
also
also
container
container
insurance,
insurance,
we
we
have
have
project
project
insurance
insurance
for
for
special
special
cargo,
cargo,
for
for
high
high
value
value
cargo,
cargo,
and
and
we
we
are
are
covering
covering
customers
customers
on
on
more
more
than
than
17
17
countries
countries
in
in
Americas.
Americas. Last
Last thing
thing
is
is
that
that
in
in
2022,
2022,
we
we
insured
insured
cargo
cargo
value
value
over
over
$1.2
$1.2
billion.
billion.
So
This
this is
is
a
a
little
little
bit
bit
about
about
Skoll.
Skoll.
Nina,
Nina,
tell
tell
us
us
a
a
little
little
bit
bit
about
about
AQ
AQ
Trucking.
Trucking.
For sure. Thank you for the information. So yeah, basically AQ Trucking, working very hand in hand with all that logistics service inside of the U.S. It was a domestic division for just the inland department. It was dedicated actually to ECU worldwide. That's kind of how we started. We've been in the market for about 6 years now. We celebrated our sixth anniversary last month. So we started working directly with AQ Worldwide with all of their needs for inland transportation, but we have been growing also to the domestic side. So right now we are an independent domestic partner to handle all types of inland needs within the United States, Canada, and Mexico. We also handle all types of cargo from like small baggages to also full truckloads and drayage. We have been tailoring our measures to the different types of customers that we have. We have specific platforms and specific processes that we adjust depending on those needs. And we're basically dedicating ourselves to find those solutions to our partners. We work a lot with freight forwarders and NBCs, NBOCCs, but also, all types of small companies, even shippers with dedicated inland necessities. We are able to assist them as well.
Thank you, Nina, for that information. Now, let's see the topics that we will discuss on this podcast. The first one is the sinking of the cargo ship Felicity Ace. Then we are going to talk about the hurricane season in America. Then about the risk report in 2023. And finally, about the bankruptcy of Yellow Corporation. So let's start. So, first topic, Nina, is about the one of the biggest incident in 2023, the Felicity Ace that was carrying about 4,000 electric vehicles. So, Nina, do you recognize this
Yeah,
vessel?
this was a very big situation. This happened earlier in the year, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but it was a big thing. I think everyone in the logistics service found out a little bit about it.
yeah, exactly. That's a big tragedy. So basically, this vessel was full of electric vehicles, around 4,000 Volkswagen vehicles. It happened, yeah, in February. The vessel sank and it got burned. And despite all rescue efforts to extinguish the fire, it was a mess. So this basically is relevant and significant because two main reasons. First one is because the financial loss for Volkswagen, and not only for that group, but also for all stakeholders, intermediaries, brokers, or even final customers, this represents a big financial loss. And second, because all the environmental implications, because we are talking about lithium batteries in the ocean, so that's a big thing. Um, and also, additional information about it is that it was going from Germany to Rhode Island, and it happened like in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, near to the Azores Island. That's like in the lane between Portugal and Rhode Island. Yeah. Also, this is important because it's a big loss. Like we are talking about around 400 million dollars loss. Um, Volkswagen was indeed insured and it had insurance, but it's funny because this loss can represent like a bankruptcy for a
Yeah.
company. So I think this is one of the incidents that make all stakeholders or logistics players to care about the protection of the cargo. That's very important, and it's funny because small companies sometimes they don't want to protect and they don't want to insure their cargo, and those are the ones that can be more affected by this kind of losses.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely, because Volkswagen is like a very big company. Like you said, they were probably very secure, but for small shippers and people who's doing imports and exports, it's very important to kind of keep in mind that anything can happen in transit, both in the ocean, in the inland. It's something that it's very hard to foresee, and it's really complicated to also contain. Like you were saying, I mean, how could they even rescue those trucks or even like try to find ways to like contain the fire? I mean, it's very complicated situation. So yeah, hopefully it will be something that will bring mindfulness to our customers.
That's right, Nina.
Great. Well, thank you very much for that information. We're gonna go to the next point, which is the hurricane season. That, as you know, is also something that's very complicated and that affects a lot of our customers in many different ways. Not only for the obvious situations that affect these regions and the people who lives there who handles all these complications through a few months of the year every time, but also to the customers who have dedicated deliveries to these places. Probably in our side, the biggest affected portion of the place is the whole Miami, Florida area, because it's a very big port for the U.S. where we're definitely exporting and importing a lot of freight. So this year's been very complicated. The hurricane season starts around June and then it ends around November. So we're kind of getting to the end of it. And it affects a lot of the areas from the Gulf Coast to all of that Atlantic Ocean coast that we also have in the US. So it has different types of repercussions, both on FTL and on FCL. This year, we saw that on FTL, the risk augmented so much compared to different years, because usually with FTL, in the last couple of years, we see an increase in the demand, but it wasn't as substantial as it went this year. Basically, for FTL, we had an increased demand of 20% over the entire, platform of truckers that we have in the U.S. And this not only affected the delays and the process in the transit, this also affected the rates for this type of truckers. Availability also became very complicated. The rates augmented about 15% as well. And you could also see that there was a delay in demand as well because of this increase. So thankfully the FTL market was able to cover a lot of these areas because they have like a different type of resources, but it did create like a lot of extra cost, whether it was in warehousing. Also, the tension has been a thing that's been affecting most of our truckers, both in FTL and LTL. So it was something that we were seeing a lot in comparison with last year's. Also, for the LTL market, which was also affected a little bit, we see also an increase in the demand, but we also see mainly an increase in the delays. So for the LTL service, the operational costs really increased because they were having to be stuck with freight in a lot of these terminals for a long time or a lot of periods of time, which created, extra work in all the sides, from like human resources to the people in the warehouses who's sustaining the shipments. Also, there was a lot of availability issues from our consignees and the people in these affected areas. But the market was, I think that with our partners, and specifically the partners that we work at ECU Trucking, everyone was very mindful of the needs, and our carriers and even our sales reps and people that we working were very affected, and really try to find accommodate solutions and really be mindful and hopeful from what our customers needs and the things that we could do to kind of support that process and not make it, as complicated as years before. So I saw that in the LTL it was a little bit easier. So a lot of the parts of the country are affected by this hurricane season, but mainly Miami and the whole Florida area, being one of the biggest ports, very affected. Also New Orleans and Louisiana, they also have a very big port, and they have been struggling with hurricane seasons for years now. Um, Big areas like Houston were very affected this year as well. Charleston in South Carolina and the port of Norfolk in Virginia, they struggle a little bit during this month. We're seeing that it's getting a little better now that we're almost at the end of the season. But we noticed that it was something that most of our customers really struggle. And these were very specific ports that really do handle lots of volume of freight, both in LTL and also in drayage and container ports. So yeah, those were one of the few main issues that we were handling this year. I think that probably the biggest one that our customers were more affected was the tension. Most of the truckers are now very mindful of that time that it really takes for them to be able to deliver, and they're also trying to get fair compensation for those
Mhm.
times. So that was something that many of our customers have to struggle with, but we were able to negotiate better agreements. So and not only the pricing that this takes both in the industry and for our customers, but also what this types of situation costs to a city, because there's flooding, there's missed routes, there's damage in property, damage in situations, damage in the streets. So there's a very big cost operation that this takes for the city. So for example, Miami is paying almost $1.5 billion on all this aftermath that the
Mhm.
hurricane season brought. One of the other big ones is Houston's also paying $3 billion, so that's a lot of money from just city planning and what it requires for them to really not only prepare ahead, but also handle those losses after the hurricane season is done. So it was very complicated for the last couple of months, but we're thankfully already out of the hurricane season. We're almost over, so we know that it's something that we see that our customers are going to be, reliving for the next couple of months.
Nina, that's good. Thank you for that information. And for us, it's very important to have partners like ECU Trucking because we want to cover your customers through the insurances because we know that there are many, for example, in this case, talking about the hurricane season,
Yeah.
the comprehensive risk about that this brings to customers, they must be prepared to this. So, very good. Thanks for that
Yeah.
information.
Thank you.
So let's see a little bit about the risk report on 2023. Talking about other
Yeah.
type of losses, other loss figures, we are going to talk about the cargo theft. So let's see some numbers. We did a research and then we found that in the second quarter, the increase on cargo theft, it's like very notorious and is because criminals have target this massive consume type of cargoes. We are
Mhm.
talking about electronics, building or construction materials, also foods, beverage, and yeah, that's something that the insurance companies have noticed. So this massive consume type of cargo has, for example, special guidelines or special security protocols because
Yeah,
as you can
regulations.
see, those are the more risky type of cargos.
Yeah.
So also we have a 57% increase on robbery incidents compared in 2022. We are talking about a total cargo value, a total value of stolen cargo of 45, $44 million. It is especially in the California, Florida, Texas, and Illinois states. So this is enough to make any like stakeholder, intermediary, broker, or any logistics player to reflect on
Yeah.
the importance of protecting the cargo. There are a lot of risks. We have talked about the maritime through the Felicity Ace case, the hurricane, and the comprehensive risk. And also this one, there is the theft risk that is increasing each year. Also, the average cargo value of each incident, it was in 2022, it was $100,000, and now we are talking about 2023, $260,000. So it increased so much. Yeah, Nina, that's why at school we are experts in risk. What we do basically is we take our customers and we study all the kind of risk, because all operations are different. And if we are talking about ocean, is different than if we are talking about land operations. So what we do is we study everything, and then we bring up solutions, tailor-made solutions, because all our proposals are different for each customers. And then we help them, our customers, to take the best decisions, because also we have seen, and it's funny, we have seen many customers with insurances that they don't really need, that they're covering things. For example, customers without, they don't have warehouses, but they have warehouse insurance instead of having the real, their real risk insured. So that's we do. We came to our customers, we study all the operation, and then we know what is the solution that we need, and we exactly like tailor our proposal to their needs.
Yeah, I think that's super valuable, because like you said, I think that a lot of players in the industry, sometimes they just go over, what's cost efficient for them, what's faster for them, and they're not really mindful of what the customer needs. So I think that that's a very big differentiator for companies like Skull and also like ECU Trucking, that we really try to adjust to our customer needs and like go that extra mile to really figure out what those necessities are, because like you said, not every commodity is that important, not every commodity is that expensive. So yeah, I think that it's a lot about educating our partners, and also in that way we can also create and even grow their business as well, because not only do they feel more supported by our operation, but also they find that the solutions that we're providing are actually working for the type of needs that they have. So that's very important, and I think that that's what really differentiate us in the market. And I think it's great to also work with companies that have that customer-oriented mindfulness to the process. So,
Nina, that's right. And you have worked with us for a long time, and you know that we are our customers to know everything regarding insurance, because that's not something that you or the final customers, the shippers, or even freight forwarders must do. But what we do is we take care about the decisions, but we study and we advise our customer correctly, as you said. So yeah, Nina.
Yeah, that's super valuable. Mostly, I think that in the freight forwarding business, there's a lot of, customers that don't really understand how the market works inside of the US. And a lot of people importing and exporting freight from all over the world to the United States and not knowing how those regulations are going to work. So yeah, I think that all this information is super valuable for our customers, and also the way that we tailor-made those decisions to what they need in shipping and in freight forwarders. I know there's like a very big field of improvement. So
no, and basically it is very important, because also their insurances just for compliance, not really for protection, just for compliance, to bring up the certificates and be able to hold. And there are other kind of insurances that indeed are for protection. So that's something that you need to understand, not our customers.
I've seen a lot of customers actually being confused, because they assume that a freight is already insured, and then they figure out that no, it was only like the basic insurance for even like for transit, and then they end up having a situation with a lost shipment or a damaged shipment, and figuring out that there's no one there to take over them. So yeah, I think that's great, and the way that you guys really try to put that effort for your customers, I think that's really the main key for us as well. So that's really great. Well, one of the other topics that we also wanted to discuss today is probably one of the biggest that has influenced the LTL industry this year, with the Yellow Corporation bankruptcy. This has been super complicated in all sides of the United States. Yellow was such a huge company, and they have such control over not only the LTL freight, but they had specific services that only they offer. They had specific areas in the country that only they serve. So it's really been complicated to adjust, not only to companies like us, where we're trying to find solutions for a customer, but for our main vendors who are struggling to handle all this volume and all this extra work that has now resolved from the Yellow bankruptcy. So just to give you a little bit of a like a context here, Yellow used to handle 10% of the entire LTL industry inside of the United States. So basically, that's a lot of freight. They were probably one of the biggest players. Again, they handle basically all of the coverage inside of the United States. They handle those faraway areas that so many carriers don't want to handle. They used to cover and provide those solutions, and they also did a lot of out of state. So they also did a lot of Canada. They did a lot of documentation. So now that there was a bankruptcy, they had several lines of service. They had YRC, they had Redaway, they had Holland, such a big network of different locations. It's been really complicated for the entire industry, not only to tailor make, but also to really adjust those volumes, because that 10% of volume freight ended up going to different players inside of the different states of where we see that there's more inland movement. So all the big ports, Illinois, Miami, Florida, California as well. These are big states that handle constant freight volumes. So it was very complicated. As a result, we've seen that delays have been very extreme. We also see a lot of other players in the industry that are also struggling to kind of keep up. Why did this occur? That's something that a lot of people is wondering. And quite honestly, it's not something that happened within a couple of weeks. It's something that's actually been developing from the last couple of years. I think that for Yellow, starting the pandemic was very complicated for them. They really weren't prepared in sight of the manpower and what they need and how the industry was going to change. So they started having those type of situations initially, and then inflation, coverage from truckers over the last couple of years. There's also been a lot of high demand from all types of truckers, even FTL and LTLs. So a few of these type of things where they started accumulating up to the point where they really couldn't handle it anymore, and they just decided to press for bankruptcy and also try to maybe accommodate on different truckers that they had. So the last couple of months for them operating were very complicated because they were understaffed. They were going through all these changes. We had to rescue many of those shipments that they were like stopped in terminals for no reason, or they were just like escalated up to that point. So basically what has been, what we see that it's been more complicated. Not only that, this has also increased situations like damage and lost shipments, which are also very important inside of having an insurance and knowing where your freight is going to end up. But mostly on the delays, a lot of the carriers are struggling to kind of keep up with that daily delivery, mostly on big locations like CFSs and stuff like that, where there's going to be a port involved, there's going to be detention, there's going to be that's what I was also telling you with the hurricane part. This last couple of years, I think that most of the LTL vendors have really been mindful of their extra charges and the things that where they need to actually make money as well. So situations like detentions, weight inspections, stuff like that are also something that is affecting our customers. With ECU Trucking, we have been trying to educate our customers, explain what's happening. We've been trying to be as transparent with the information as soon as possible. We shared several communications to all of our customers so that they would know how complicated this has been, in all the related shipments that they have, but also what are those solutions that we can offer as a partner, and try to figure out what we can do to really, reduce those extra delays that the whole situation has generated. So I guess just to finalize a little bit of what we wanted to show also in this point, it's a little bit of how we can, assist and explain our customers what are those important things that they should be taking into account when they're going to select a trucker, when they have a specific need. So there's a lot of things that you can take from there. In ECU Trucking, we even have several specific things that we offer to our customers, like rating star qualification that we have for vendors. We also do on-time analysis for pickup and deliveries. But mainly, depending on the needs that you're having, what we feel like it's very important for you guys and our customers to really look into is, you know, the experience and reputation of these truckers. How much time have they been in the business?
Mhm.
There's a lot of new companies also coming out from this, and a lot of new truckers that are also going into business right now. So it's important to take that into consideration before giving out their freight. Geographic coverage is another big thing with this situation in Yellow, as Yellow was the one that had like that direct connection with different states and almost that biggest coverage inside of the US. A lot of the smaller or different companies are using a lot of extra partners. So basically, there's companies, for example, now Southeastern, that it's a company that specializes in the southeast of the
Mhm.
United States, that they're now offering California services, but they are using partner truckers. So that's something that it's mindful for the customers to know. It's not a bad service. They can do the entire delivery, but it usually does add at least 1 or 2 extra days for the delivery. It's something that we handle internally and we explain, but it's something that they can also have into consideration. Can we go back a little bit? I'm sorry for the previous slide. Yeah, sorry. Also, one of the other points that we really like to for them to understand is the equipment and technology. We at EQ Trucking, we like working with all types of truckers, from the big LTL trucking national companies that have like a very big development in technology, to also small local truckers that we know that maybe don't have the availability and the resources to create such a technology network, but we also use them. We have ways to program their rates, ways to program their follow up. So we also offer that type of service, but it's important for you and our customers at the time of choosing a trucker. Also, specialized services. A lot of these situations come from YRC, because YRC was the one that provided biggest, you know, network of extra services, whether it was white glove or inside delivery, even documentation, again, for shipments going and coming back from Canada. So that's something that it's important. If you have something that requires a specific documentation or and a specific service for delivery or equipment, it's important that that's, you know, notified to our teams or to the teams that you're working with in advance at the time of selecting a truck. And also, you know, cost and transparency, which is probably the main one, and probably what our customers look for the most. You can, you know, always go for different types of vendors and brokers, and you're going to see a very big difference in pricing from all types of companies. But it's very important that transparency that provides as well. You know, sometimes you can get a very cheap cost for a specific move, but then you won't get the transparency. You won't get the notifications of what's going on. You will not get the support and the assistant whenever there is a situation. So those are very things that it's important to keep, you know, mindful at the time of selecting a truck. So yeah, basically at EQ Trucking, we dedicate ourselves to that. It's one of our very big core values is that we're very specialized into service, and we really try to tailor make again our needs and our customer needs ahead of the decision making, whether we started from the point of technology, what do they need in regards of connection, what do they need in regards of having rates in advance and stuff like that, to also, you know, what type of truckers do they really need, what type of movements are they doing. As we work with a lot of freight forwarders, we do a lot of imports and exports, so we already also specialize into that service, into the requirement that those service needs as well. So yeah, it's been very exciting. We've seen that this was a very challenging year in the inland industry, and I know that a lot of freight forwarders struggle a lot to kind of keep with their goals, and you know, a lot of people were struggling with how the business was going this year in regards to the last couple of 3 years, where we see that there was a huge, you know, rise in volumes and in imports and exports from um, all types of different customers. We see that this year has been a little bit more challenging for the industry, but we have also seen how many of our partners have grown, how at the same time as we are supporting that network, we're able to kind of assist, even getting into reaching out into different customers. So I think that also provides, you know, a lot of hopeful and positive experiences, and working hand in hand with a company like Skold that also, you know, takes that time to really appreciate our customers and what they need. I think that those are the things that really create differentiators for us. So
Nina, yeah, as you mentioned, that's important, and you talk about two important things. One was the cost efficiency, because We have seen cases through the insurance where customers like insurance is something that if you're taking coverage for compliance just to have a policy number and a certificate, that's price sensitive. So we
Yeah.
look for something cheap because you don't need coverage. You need certificate about coverage. That's something, for example, for carriers is very usual, and that's why when our customers, other customers, freight forwarders, or even the shippers said, no, the carrier must have insurance. We are like, no, it's not like an insurance for coverage. They don't care about your cargo. They only
Yeah.
have insurance for compliance. And then you mentioned something about this partnership that we have, and that's important because we have an automatic policy for small values or general cargo. But when, for example, Nina bring me for example, a project, and we are talking about high value project or
Yeah.
something, then we work together because it's not only offering the coverage, but also we work together to find the carrier that it's in compliance with all permits.
Yeah.
For example, if it is oversized, over weight, or if we need any special thing about the carrier. So we work together. We not only offer the insurance, but we also care about the carrier for being in compliance regarding the needs that this special cargo needs. So that's a partnership that all customers must have, not only like the logistics partner for all the freight and transportation, but also like to integrate that insurance or that protection side. It's important. So that's something that has bring very good developments, very good achievements, and that's why we want to keep growing this
Yeah.
partnership. And yeah, Nina, thank you for that. Thank you for being available always and to bring for because and you were talking about something about cost also,
Yeah.
that this is something I learned here in this
Mhm.
company in school, and through the partnership with ECU, and it was like uh, we were talking always about improving prices, and obviously we work for that. But I don't remember who was the person who told me this, but it was like, we are not cheap, we are good, we offer like an integrate
Yeah.
service. I know it was a customer. She told me once like, I am with EasyU because they bring me many solutions and because
Yeah.
they care about things that I don't need to care. So I know I'm safe with them, and I don't mind if this is like a little bit higher than an other
Yeah.
player or something, because I don't want headaches in the future. I just want to be covered. So this integrate solution, and also adding the insurance side, or what, as you said, the white glove services and
Mhm.
everything, all the accessories are available for that operations. Yeah, that's something important that you need to care about. So
Yeah.
thanks,
Yeah,
Nina.
just to compliment there, I mean, it's really important, and just like you were saying, I think it's it's not a secret to anyone that the LTL industry is complicated, that the LTL industry has a lot of tricks and a lot of minds, and like you said, a lot of the customers sometimes just by the idea of having to move shipments inside of the US, they feel like it's going to be a headache, that it's going to be complicated. So yeah, basically our main focus is to really find to make those solutions in the way that it's going to make it easier for all of our customers. So we have from tailor-made notifications to also tailor-made processes with extra charges, and a lot of the things that's really important what you were saying as well, that I think that it's also a perception thing. I think that sometimes customers have the perception of probably insuring cargo will be something that will be extra expensive for them, or that would like get them out of what they already have agreed to a customer in advance. And it's really something that it's not only is it not going to generate that much of a big change, but also it's really going to cover the specific needs that you have. It's important to say that on the LTL industry, at least, the liability from the truckers, like Maria was saying, is very little. It's
Limited.
mainly it's minimum, and it's mainly based on the volume and the weight of the cargo, the commodity, and the actual value price of the commodity that we're moving. It's not a play here. So that's also very complicated because you find yourself importing or exporting something that it's, as a commodity base that is super expensive.
Mhm.
And if there's something, if anything that could happen in transit ends up happening, the carrier is not going to take liability for the price. They are just going to pay specifically weight and volume. So that's why, like you were saying, it's super important for our customers to be mindful about the type of commodity that they're moving, about the needs that they have, and really take the opportunity to start trying the insurance, because not only is it going to relieve pressure and pain and stress from everyone involved in the transaction, but also it really give coverage to our customers and situations that they just can't anticipate. I mean, there's things in this logistic industry that they can't be anticipated, that no matter how much care and pressure you put in a trucker, if something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. So yeah, I think that's where a partner like you guys, it's super important to really bring that knowledge to our customer and those options to really make their life easier at the end.
That's correct, Nina. Yeah, as you said, that's the thing. That's where we want to be, like,
Yeah.
to make all customers, yeah, consciousness about the risk, about the operations risk, and take action about it.
Yeah.
Nina, thank you so much. So this is the end of our episode. This was really nice. Let's hope we have a next episode soon.
Definitely, yeah.
And thank you for bringing all that information, all those insights, because that's important. So thank you, audience. See you next time.
Thank you all very much, and thank you for the invite. I was very happy to be here today, and hopefully the customers and partners who are watching this podcast can find important information here for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Bye.